Stock speculator, swing trader extraordinaire. We love to find those trend and base breaking setups, and today I have a focus list or a watch list just for you. I hope you stay for it, but first we're going to hit over the social sentiment, the AAII social sentiment, the CME Fed tool to see what old Papa Powell has for us in stock, and then of course the economic calendar we'll give to you and throw right in your face right off the get. But the first thing I have to say is the NASDAQ has gapped up. As we talked about this basing breakout up here at the 25,000 area, you can see we have now pushed through that, and we talked about us closing at those highs. It is now gapped up higher. Some people are saying the algos are going to take over and wash this back out and retest this basing breakout area. That could possibly happen, or we might just rip tater chip. We're going to go over all of that and more, so please smash that like button if you do enjoy the show. And then of course subscribing is absolutely free, baby. So let's get this party started, shall we? All right, let's check it out. You better believe it. If you are about the Super Bowl, I don't really watch football, but this is my Super Bowl, baby. We have earnings. And as you guys know, I always say earnings ruins everything. We see beautiful setups, but I don't like to get in because the earnings are so volatile. You never know which way they're going to go. Even on a beat, they could fail. So when we go over the earnings, do understand if you are in a stock that is in earnings, do your due diligence. Understand that risk management is key on these, okay? And I have the chat up. What's going on, Yosef? Norman Conklin's in the building. Jimmy Bright. Mama, what's going on, Mama? Mama came over and helped me with the electric today. I couldn't believe it. You gotta believe it. You gotta believe it, baby. We got Bandito, aka my boy Carl. Brother Carl, it's good to see you in the building. What is going on? Zamora, and my boy Yosef. It's so good to see you guys. I see you guys hitting that love. All that helps in the chat, so thank you guys so much. Let's get right into it. The earnings list is going to be absolutely bonkers. CLS on Monday. CLS, we've been watching CLS. It's setting up that beautiful basing breakout, and it broke out, but it was too close to earnings. We kind of stayed away from it. So let's see if we get another gap up from CLS as it's closing near those all-time highs. And with Monday being after the close, CLS is definitely one to keep an eye on. We also have CAR, Avis Budget is on there, and a few others. We get a few banks before earnings here. Also, Tuesday, SOFI, a big one. UNH, that's another big one that a lot of people are talking about. Bloomberg Energy, aka BEA, beautiful. What a beautiful stock that one is. Definitely keep an eye on that during earnings, as it's been very volatile and near all-time highs and pulling back, respecting that 21-day moving average. We also have Visa, yes, the Visa, and JetBlue, Royal Caribbean, Wayfair, the Cheesecake Factory, making me hungry just looking at it. Before the open on Wednesday, Verizon, Boeing, Caterpillar, Etsy, ADP. And then after the close on Wednesday, mark your calendars, folks. We have Meta, Microsoft, Google, Chipotle, Carvana, Starbucks, Sprouts. Guys, we have it all. It's all here, and it's all coming up very quickly. And then, of course, Thursday after the close, you have Amazon, Apple, Coinbase, Reddit, Rocket, Riot, Cloudflare, Roku. Guys, this is just armed and dangerous. Talk about some volatility. You're going to see it coming up here, and we're going to go over some of these stocks. If you have anything that you would like me to go over, just throw them in the chat. We'll go all the way back through and make sure we hit every one of them up. But please keep in mind, it is earnings season, so know what is on the earnings. And then, of course, we always like to go over it, but we need to see how all Papa Powell is doing tonight. Interest rates with Jerome Powell.
Oh, yeah.
All right, old Papa Powell, we are expected to hear from him, and we're going to go over the calendar in just a second. But do keep in mind, October 29th is the Fed meeting, or the Fed rate cut decision. It's showing here 96.7%. We are going to slash rates by a quarter of a percentage point, 0.25% basis points lower than the current target range of 4 to 4.25. So we'll be in the range of 3.75 to 4.0 once he slashes those October 29th. I do believe that these are priced in. I don't think all of a sudden the day and everybody's like, oh, look at here. Who would have thought he was cutting rates? No, it's priced in. I think it's priced in. I think the surprise would be is if he did a double cut, if he came down 50 basis points rather than the 25. I think we're expected to see huge volatility, or if it goes against the grain where he comes out and says, no, we are going to stay the course. We're not getting enough data, the same old BS from him. And then we will see a huge drop because we're not getting the quarter of a rate cut that we have been pricing in for the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 months here. So just keep an eye on that. And as we will show up here every Sunday, baby, do your due diligence. And then, of course, this is the economic calendar, a big week indeed. As we can see right here, we have durable goods, not so volatile on Monday, but Tuesday, consumer confidence. A lot of people like to pay attention to that. But Wednesday is your federal interest rate decision and the FOMC press conference, or the FOMC meeting. Then Thursday is the GDP, and then Friday is your core PCE year over year. Did they come back yet? Are they, is the government shutdown over? That might make these a little bit more difficult to come out, but we will see because we still have an important week with earnings. Earnings has not shut down. So keep in mind, Wednesday is a huge day with the federal interest rate decision, the FOMC meeting, and 3 of the largest players in the market. They make up a huge portion of the market, so we need to keep a close eye on it. And I know I'm running through this, folks, but I don't want to waste any of your time as well as you waste mine. So let's make sure we hit the social sentiment as we talked about last week. The social sentiment seemed to be a little bit more bearish last week when we talked. And you can see here it has changed a little bit. People are swaying more towards the bullish side. I shouldn't say more towards, but they're still a little bearish here, but not as bearish as they were last week since we hit new all-time highs. It seems to squander some of those bears and people are starting to jump on the bulls. Now, when we start to see this social sentiment start to get a little too bullish, that's when we don't want to be on the same side. But it's nice to see we still have bear activity, we still have bearish sentiment, because that's going to help push the market higher. As people try to short and they get suckered out of those shorts or stuck in those shorts, they have to buy back at a higher price. With that being said, that is your social sentiment. It's just a look into what everybody else thinks, and we don't want to be a part of the sheeple, do we? So that's just part of the sentiment there. Now, I have an amazing focus list. I hope you guys are with me. I hope you guys are having a great night because it has been some beautiful weather and we have some amazing gap ups to deal with in the morning. I love to see it. So the S&P 500 gapping up much higher from its close. We're up currently about 0.7%, so almost its average daily range, or a little over half of its average daily range. As the, let's see here, the Dow Jones Industrial looks like it's up 1.62%. The NASDAQ looks like it's up 0.84%. So things are looking really, really good. You know, you can't argue with new all-time highs. You can't. It's hard not to be bullish at new all-time highs. So with that being said, the only other things I want to look at is Bitcoin. It looks like Bitcoin is back in this Goldilocks area we talked about. Below this area is bad. Inside this area is consolidation, and above this area is a possible breakout. So Bitcoin bouncing back, bouncing off of that Darvis box that I drew out for you last week. It looked very nerve-wracking here, but soaked up well, formed a base, and now is trying to head higher. If it can get above, you know, this trend line here, I think things would be looking a hell of a lot better, and it looks like it's trying now. We also have gold. It looks like gold had a bit of a retracement as we talked about this possibly being the top, just like we called out back here. You know, sometimes you get lucky on these things, but you know, you see these gaps, and when the gaps don't get filled, you're looking for a capitulating top, and we got that, but it's bouncing off its 21-day moving average. So will gold continue to hold this area? That's the question. Or will, just like its last huge move with multiple gaps in it, trade sideways for quite some time before heading higher? So those are really the questions, but right now I'm just watching gold. I'm not going to be playing any gold. You know, your quantum just chopping around. We're going to see in the morning how well that is doing. And then, of course, your XBI or your biotech is still absolutely ripping here, trading sideways on that 10-day moving average. It's going to be interesting to see how the market opens with that. So with that being said, we're going to get right into the focus list. I think it's very important that we get through this focus list, and we'll spend a little time on some of these stocks, but I don't want to just, a lot of people are talking about a lot of the same things. And so I don't want to, you know, beat a dead horse, but I've been talking about PLTR for quite some time now. I don't like this sideways action. I don't like how it's just chopping through here. And I don't like these new lower lows now. I loved it when it was new higher lows, new higher lows, new higher lows. I loved it right here. I think I was even in it here. Yes, I was. I got stuck in the taco trade after Donnie pumped this thing up. Just washed me right out, and you know, I obviously exited because I was using the 10-day moving average as my stop. That's part of trading. Well, it's getting a little too choppy for me. Now PLTR, it has earnings coming up, right? So it's another reason for me not to get into this thing right now, because it's just not wanting to break out. So maybe earnings, it'll push it out through, or maybe earnings will just fail. Last week we talked about MU and how it was getting tight on this area. You can see a nice little trend breakout on that following the 10-day moving average with EPS and sales growth like that, folks. That is definitely something to keep an eye on. I took our darling AMD. You can see here the big gap up. You can see the highest volume, one of the highest volume days ever traded on AMD. We've seen it consolidate for about 3 weeks. And you can see that it formed a high tight flag by definition. This basing breakout is what I played it as, and as we pushed up through, I played a 1-minute opening breakout on that, as well as Mr. Bandito 40, my brother Carl Burr. It's good to see you in the building. I'm glad you got a piece of that as well. Also TSM has been looking very, very well. It's very tight right here now. We can look in the, the pre-market and see where some of these are trading, because, if you look at AMD, you'll see that it's gapped up much higher. Yes, same thing with this one here. It's back to these highs at this $300 area. I think that's an important area, psychological area to be above, is that 300. But TSM looking very well as AVGO. But NVIDIA's earnings are coming up. It's showing here on the 19th of November. So we have about 3 weeks until then, but that's another big one. And it is setting up really, really nice. I really like this push off this base here. If I didn't, get so heavily loaded in AMD, I would have bought this semiconductor as well. And if we just look in the pre-market here, it's actually gapped up to 189. So it's actually sitting right up here at its second smaller basing area at 189. So interesting area. I could obviously see it coming back down before heading higher, but regardless, earnings are coming up, things are looking good, things are pushing out of their basis. It was very nerve-wracking in this area, wanting to create a new lower low here, wash everybody out, and then when it soaked right back up, to me, you have to change your psychology. When it was here, I was just thinking, it's gonna fall off a cliff, it's heading back down, the overall market sentiment is showing weakness, and then it soaked right back up after washing all of these people out, heading higher, getting tight in this area, or I should say tighter than the previous day, and then pushing back up through this huge area of consolidation. Not to mention the all-time low of this base is the anchored VWAP. So looking really good. I really, really like the way this stock is looking as well. IREN, we had some people in the comments in the after the show talking about, IREN just falling. Well, you can see this $50 area was support. You can see once, twice, 3 times, the fourth time it pushed through. That's enough for me to consider this an area of support. And sure enough, it washed right into that area of support. That soaked right back up and is heading higher now. EPS and sales growth looks amazing. The RS rating looks absolutely amazing. Earnings is going to be here on November 6th, so keep an eye on that. We played IREN, we played this base, we made our money off of this trade here. Made plenty of money. I played it to 24%, exited half of this trade, and then closed on this pullback here right before it closed below that 10-day or somewhere in that in these areas. And then it's pulled back, you know, and now it's back up to this area here. I would honestly say best case scenario for this thing, if you were trying to trade it, would be to really let it have a base, give it some time, let earnings, you know, at least let earnings get here. That's just a best case scenario. It's probably never going to look that picture perfect, but that's what we're looking for. Of course, CLS, guys, CLS is looking really, really good. You like CLS? I like CLS. I love this base here. Stayed away from it though. It showed multiple areas you could have gotten into with EPS and sales growth like this. I do really like this CLS. I don't even know what they do, to be quite honest with you. I have no idea. Electronic technology, electronic components. Engages in the provisions of supply chain solutions globally to equipment manufacturers and service providers. It operates through the following segment: advanced technology and solutions, or ATS, and connectivity and cloud solutions. Okay, CCS, cloud solutions. The advanced technology solutions segment includes aerospace and defense, industrial, smart energy, health tech. Wow, they're hitting all the sectors. Hear that? Technology, aerospace, defense, industrials, smart energy, and health. I mean, you're hitting all the angles with CLS. Bloomberg Energy, that was another one that we have the earnings coming out very, very soon. We're going to see how that one does. I'm hands off, obviously, until after the earnings. We're going to see. I also have TEM still on here. Folks, you know, it really is starting to slow down, like it's just kind of chopping around here, but you can see it is in a beautiful uptrend. So if you can find a good area to risk off of, I would suggest this 50-day moving average this low if you're going to try and take a trade on something like this. But I really love this base. I did, and you know, I'm weeping I didn't get it at the retest here, and you know, I'm gonna look back and be crying I don't have at least a small chunk of this at this 50-day moving average, but you know, that's part of trading. Sometimes that's how it goes. But I'm going to continue to keep an eye on this because if it gives me a tighter risk reward, that might be another stock I want to get into. But right now, I'm just solely focused on that AMD. I loved AMD, you know, and hopefully we get that 20%. If we get 20% in AMD, I'll be able to reduce my shares to half or 3/4 of the trade and leave the rest in for either break even, or if earnings does well, it'll carry on higher. NXT, they had their EPS and sales growth came out, and it looks like a positive expected, and that's what we like to see. That's why we leave our money in stocks that have EPS and sales growth. It makes it feel a bit safer, and you can see a beautiful basing breakout here and another one here. I talked about this a lot as it is in that solar panel sector, the next tracker, and they're doing really well. I know one of the people in our Discord here was able to capitalize on it, but you know, there was a lot of great stocks I was into and I got shaken out of, and you know, I'm not proud to say it, but at part of trading, I think I got a little too on the side of protecting my capital, and sometimes when you do that, you don't. Scared money doesn't make money, and if you know you set your stops too quick, you know, or you don't give it time, or you sell out on emotion, you know, it doesn't help. But I do have capital, and I'm trying to protect that capital. That's my number one job. I've protected it very, very well. We're up very, very handsomely for the year, a little over 50%. And after this AMD trade, if it continues to hold, we're going to be much, much more. So stay tuned for that. Also, First Solar is another one. Here's our basing breakouts. I pointed those out. They're still holding out very, very well. No, I don't hold any, but we're going to keep an eye on solar. Here's another solar up here, basing out now at these tops here. doing very, very well. Also, keeping an eye on CEG. This has been a darling for a while, and it looks like we have EPS and sales growth still looking well. Earnings coming out November 7th. Ooh, Froggy. If you guys haven't heard me talk about Frog in a while, well, look at this. We talked about that retest of the basing breakout, one of the hardest times to buy, but usually one of the best times to buy. That's for damn sure. Let me see here. GE. I have GE Aerospace on here. You can see they had earnings. They came out. Things are looking a-okay with this one. Not going too far. Their expected earnings seem much lower than our 20 by 20s. You know, we want to see 20 EPS, 20 sales growth or higher. And they look like they're slowing down here. So, you know, they have a base right here. If it gets above this base, I'm saying we're good. If it gets below this base here, I'm saying, you know, that's not so good. And this one is a slower mover, but I like to keep an eye on it because it is one of the leaders in the aerospace sector. Google, oh my gosh. I mean, Google's going to haunt me forever. But you know, you gotta love this price action, folks. Google, new all-time highs, really just leading the Mag 7 stocks. That can be argued, but Google looks like it's leading the Mag 7. Still pretty good EPS and sales growth. They're doing really well. They're in all the hottest of the sectors. CRDO, another trend breakout. It's another one that my G pointed out. You can see right here, he said, CRDO, mark my words, it's gonna rip soon. Well, rip, tater chip, it did, trying to get over this basing breakout, pulling back and retesting. So it is much higher than where he said it was going to go. Well, 9% already on CRDO. So congratulations, my Gee. I think he's taken a slight break this week, but you know, I hope you hear me. I hope you hear me out there, brother. I hope everything's well. Tesla, that 420, that 420 holding very, very well. It's definitely a nerd stock. It's definitely holding that 420 really well. We're gonna see if it actually gets up out of that 445, 450 area, because every time it gets up to this 450, it wants to reject. So 420, 450, where are we gonna be? Are we gonna be higher? Are we gonna be lower than that area? Let's see here. ASTS, another one that pulled back and it's riding that 21-day moving average. Will it rip from here? I personally like Rocket Lab better. I think it trades a little cleaner. We called out the 3 new higher lows and it getting really tight about following that 50-day moving average. It held this very, very well, ripped up much, much higher. I exited most of my position after 20% and then exited on the taco trade somewhere up here. So I no longer hold Rocket Lab, but you guys can see here, it pulled back very well, held the 21-day moving average, and this thing, in my personal opinion, still looks very, very strong until it breaks this low of 58.53. So if you're still holding Rocket Lab, congratulations to you. It still looks healthy. VSAT is another one that looks like it's getting ready to break out very, very soon. If I bring this up on my VSATs, yes, another gap up. It's actually trading up at $39 right now. So new all-time highs for VSAT. Congratulations to any holders out there. It's just starting to show some sales growth. It's not the best looking when it comes to its financials, but it is still doing well. Circle, I wanted to throw Circle back on here just because, you know, it's a Bitcoin play, and if Bitcoin starts to pop, it would be nice to see this get through this anchored VWAP right here and then bust through this basing area. And if it can, and I can get a small piece early, that'd be great, but earnings ruins everything, as November 12th is when Circle has those earnings. I know a lot of us have been watching Dave. Right there's that basing breakout. You can see it broke out and it's trying to hold above that. And really, if Dave does what I would want it to do, it's going to hold in this area and it's going to come down. It's going to retest this area and then it's going to shoot up higher. The best ones don't do a retest. They just take off without anybody knowing. But if this thing could come down and retest, you know, that might be one of the best risk reward areas that you can find with yourself here. The EPS and sales growth are fine, much higher than that 25% that I like to look for. So we will see very, very soon if it wants to continue to go. Let me know in the chat, what are you guys watching? What is on your watch list? There are so many stocks like SNDK. Personally, I'm looking for this SanDisk Corporation for a capitulating top. We see one big gap here and it was never tested. It never came back down and retested that area. It just continued to rip higher, another 7%. So if this thing gaps up again, which let's take a look in pre-market, what SNDK looks like as it has gapped up to 195.99. So 195.99. That's sitting way up here, folks. So for me, I'm personally going to be looking, not that I'm going to short this, but I'm looking for a capitulating top now on SNDK. It's too euphoric, it's too high, and that's the same thing that I called out on gold. It's not like a magic trick or anything. You just see, you get a big gap here, a big gap here, and then it doesn't go tested. And in the after hours, this thing goes crazy high. You know, crazy high, comes down crazy high. You know, that's just showing that there's untested open price areas that people haven't traded at. There's gaps. So if we get to those gaps, there's nobody there. There's nobody there. They're going to fill these gaps. Not always, but you know, some of the best stocks do not ever retest their gap. Some meaning like Nvidia back when it was 500, now the $50 area, and Tesla. You know, they just don't look back. Well, gold did not. It did look back. It decided to pull back here, and I'm thinking the same thing for SNDK, SanDisk. We get an unexpected gap opening here, rips up higher, and then look, we're gapping up again. You know, if we rip up one more time, I'm expecting this thing to wash back out and retest this 10-day moving average eventually. But I won't fight the tape. I'm not going to be the one caught shorting this thing. I'm just calling it how I sees it, baby. Just calling it how I sees it. All right. And you know, there's so many other things like Rigetti we could look at. I just don't trust these quantum computing stocks much. You know, Hood popped back up off of this 50-day moving average test, you know, just like it did here. It looks pretty similar. And then a big gap up. Look at this, big test, big gap up. And here, you know, this is one of those where it's like, you know, people say, well, if it gaps up, the algos. Well, the elbows get turned on for buying too. And you can see here, big gap up. It never retested. Hood never retested this area. And then from this gap, it went as high as 40% off that area. We played the basing breakout as well, you know. So absolutely beautiful. Another gap up, looking quite similar to this big drop off, big flush out by the 50-day moving average, and then gapped up and ran. Same thing. It flushed down here, and then we've gapped up. Are we going to trade sideways a little bit before we run, or are we just going to run? So let's take a look at Open, OPEN, holding that 50-day moving average and trying to get above its all-time lows, anchored view up from that basing area. If we go from the all-time high, you can see it's just testing that. So will it continue to head lower as this is showing a downtrend, or is it going to find this base, start creating some new higher lows here, and possibly break out to the north side? That is the question that we need to wait. We need to wait to see new higher lows. I got to see it before we just start jumping into these things. Oh goodness, yeah, Meta setting up really nice. We could just look at the ETF. I know Torque pointed this out. MAGS, M-A-G-S. I mean, just look at this beautiful basing area right here. Oops, not there. That's not what we want to do. Control Z, go to this, pull it down. Look at this basing area right here. And we are set up and primed right now. Now, I'm sure if we looked at MAGS on the futures, yeah, it's gapped up here to 66.65. So 66.65. You can see this is the basing area, and right here, it's breaking out of that up here at 66.65. That's hard to say. And we'll see, does it come back down in the morning, retest this area before heading higher, or are we just gonna gap and go, baby? That's what I wanna know. But Meta has earnings coming up. We already went over when, but we will see very, very soon. I'm excited for Meta. I think Meta's going to do very, very well. But this is the Mag 7. Oh, that's why I couldn't find it. There we go. Yeah, Meta right here. Earnings is October 29th. So that's coming out. It's coming out now. It's coming out right now. No, a couple days, guys. A couple days for Meta. We can look at Oklo. Oklo's trying to hold, but, you know, new higher lows off of this, but, you know, basing, this would be a good basing area right here, actually, for Oklo. So we'll see. We're that 143, 150 area once it gets back up there. Yeah, you know, and I think that's pretty good for our focus list, our watch list. You know, things are looking good. Things are looking pretty. Let's just be really, really careful of a gap up, fake breakout, and for it to pull back. Don't panic. We have plenty of room now to work with. You know, if we look at the overall market and we see a big gap up like this, to me, I'm not trying to buy at these highs up here. I'm saying, hey, we had the basing breakout, new all-time highs right here. This is where I got into AMD, right when the NASDAQ started breaking out of this area. I seen the volume coming in. I'm already in it, and it closed at an all-time high at end of day and after pre-market. So we have warranted and we have reason for a huge gap up like this. So we have all this extra room to work with. I'm not imagining that I'm going to keep all this money that has been thrown at me just before pre-market. No, I'm expecting to lose it all. I'm expecting it to come back down, retest this area where we missed this huge area of price action, and then bounce back up and head higher within the next couple of days. That's my guess. We will see if it happens, folks. Just make sure you are using risk management. I absolutely love doing this. Thank you for making this part of my dream. And if this helped you at all, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Absolutely love you guys. The more engagement we have on these shows, the better off the shows are going to be, the more people it reaches out to, and the bigger my dream becomes a reality. I just ended the poll. Is this a new leg for the bull market in the S&P 500? 75% say yes. 25% say just give me the watch list. I hope you made it all the way through to the end. If you have, you are the OG. Thank you guys so much for being here. Well, I guess if I drink 2 cups of coffee, we can get through this in 30 minutes. It was awesome, though. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate you, Jimmy, for being here. Yosef, as always, thank you for all the charts that you put out there. You're one of the first to post some of the best news, especially, you know, the ES opening up today. We really appreciate that. Norman Conklin, thank you, man. I really appreciate you, how supportive you've been. You're the longest standing member, and, you know, huge shout out to you, Norman, so thank you. Zamora, thank you. Appreciate you. And, you know, you're an OG, girl. You've been here for a very long time, and I appreciate you. So thank you so much for being here. Shout out to Bandito, my brother Carl. I'm glad we could be in the same trade, brother. I'm glad things are going well, and I hope we can kick some butt and take some names. Hopefully, we continue to make this money. Cheddar, baby. Mama, if you're still listening, hope you have a good night. And Kevin Kilgore, hope you guys have an awesome night. Thank you guys so much for being here. Peace.